Whether you agree or disagree, or it just simply goes over your head, you can still quote me, because that's what I said.
Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Welcome to Native Talks. Now I know right away the hair might be throwing you off a little bit, but don't let it sweat you. It's just one of the looks that I like to rock every now and then. I ain't no beauty queen, I ain't no model or nothing like that. I'm just a regular woman who works a 9 to 5. And so you just gotta rock with the hair the way it is. All right. So, as I've stated in previous videos, if you did not hear it from these two lips, then you've been lied to and you've been tricked. Because before you can repeat it or even attempt to debate it, you just better make sure that you heard me say it. All right, y'all. It's been a while since I've done a video. I never promised y'all I'd be doing videos, every day like everybody on YouTube be popping out these videos all the time. I ain't got that kind of time. My job takes up a lot of my time. And so I'm usually trying to find time to squeeze in some moments when I can do a video. And this is one of those times. Um, we just came off of Mother's Day, and I did want to do a video for Mother's Day. I really, really did. However, this Mother's Day was very tough for me, and I just did not have the energy to do a video. This is my third Mother's Day of not having my mother with me. So the wounds of losing her and trying to get along with my life without her, the wounds are still fresh. For people whose parents have been gone for a long, long time, um, maybe for them through the years it gets easier, but I'm still at the beginning of this. I'm not at the threshold, but I'm still in the vicinity, and it was hard for me. So I just said I'll do a Mother's Day tribute to my mom down the road, because I believe in celebrating your mom every day, not just on Mother's Day. So when I do my video, don't be looking at it crazy, talking about Mother's Day didn't already came and went. She's doing a Mother's Day. Well, that's just how I roll. I don't flow with the stream of the fish. I go against the stream. I've always been that type of person. I'm just quirky like that. So when you see it, just listen to it. It's about my mom. So it really won't matter when I do it. Okay. Today's video, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because we're dealing with a lot of current situations that are just kind of has you going, Lord, what is happening? I don't know about y'all, but the craziness that's happening in our country right now does kind of have me asking God, okay, God, when you said that things was gonna get off the chain, was this what you was really meaning? All this stuff, all these things that is going on in this country, you had to have known it was gonna happen, but we just didn't think it was gonna be like this. The craziness, the arrogance, the rebellion. I mean, it's all just happening like crazy. And I just never thought I would see the things I'm seeing now. I want to speak on a couple of topics. Now, I know that these topics are touchy. I know that people get emotional, they get downright indignant about these certain topics, but I'm going to address them. I'm going to say how I feel about them. And I'm putting my own disclaimer on this. I make no apologies for what I say. I don't take anything back. And if I offend you, all I can say is that when you come to Native Girl side of the cyber world, you're gonna get what she said. And that's it. And if you don't like it, you just don't like it. I cannot live in a world, you know, being controlled by what people think about what I say and about what I do. I have to be me. And so I can't, let other people dictate how I think and what I do. So if you don't want to hear about abortion, because I am going to talk about that, if you don't want to hear about some of the things that are going on in Ukraine right now, if you don't want to hear about some of the issues that I have with some of the situations that are going on right now in this country, then you might want to just go on and do one of these like they used to do in church when I was in church. When they didn't want to give any offering in the offering plate, you would see a lot of people sneaking out and putting their finger up, tipping right out the door where you can just tip right on out of Native Girls World. There's no hate about that, no hard feelings. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Okay? All right. I'm going to start off talking about this leak that came out about the Supreme Court possibly overturning Roe v. Wade. Now, y'all got to remember, when Roe versus Wade came out, I was just a child myself. And I guess in my case, I'm a little more sensitive about it because when this situation became an issue, I was a little kid. I was the age that these women are talking about that they don't want to have to raise, and my mother was a single mom. So if anybody could have failed for that belief and could have ran with it, my mother would have had the perfect storm to be able to be, a person who goes out and gets an abortion. She could have done that. And I wouldn't be sitting here today had she been into women's rights. So for me, it's very personal when I hear women say these things because I'm going, okay, I wouldn't have the right to even have an opinion. I wouldn't even have a right to say anything if my mother had took that right from me. The one thing I remember my mother saying when she found out she was pregnant with me, that I remember asking her this when I was a teenager. I asked my mother, I said, what made you decide to have me when you knew that my dad was not going to be there? And you know what my mom said? My mom said, up until that moment that I found out that I was pregnant with you, she said it was all about me. She said it was all about what I wanted to do, the fun that I was having, the man that I loved. She said, but then when I found out that there was somebody else in the picture that didn't have anything to do with what I wanted to do, who I loved, they didn't have anything to do with that. But they were a part of me. My mom said she realized that it wasn't about her anymore, that it was about me. And that I didn't have anything to do with the fact that my father wasn't there. That wasn't my fault that my dad didn't want to be there. And so my mom decided to have me. She realized that I had a right to breathe. I had a right to live, and she didn't take that from me. Now, some of y'all women out there, I'm pretty sure you're very quick to say, but yeah, she had her right to, and the times were different then. Well, not too much, because, the decision of Roe v. Wade happened in 1973. I was born in 68. So that right there tells you I was on the cusp of all of this. I was born in the midst of the battle, because let's face it, it had to be a battle before it became a victory. You had to fight and tangle with somebody before you won your little war. So for it to become law in 73, it had to be an issue way before then. And my mother told me that her doctor actually tried to talk her into having an abortion because he knew my mother's situation. He knew that she was a young, black, broke woman who had been abandoned by the father. And no telling how many scenarios that doctor had seen of black women, white women, Hispanic women coming into his clinic, finding out that they're pregnant and the fathers are gone. He probably seen that so many times it was crazy. So he probably had his speech already written out to say to every woman that came in there, because you got to remember, the battle had to be going on before the war was won. So I'm pretty sure that hospitals were pushing women in my mother's predicament to get an abortion. Why put yourself through all that? Why do that? And what kind of life would that be for the child when you don't even have the money to take care of? I'm pretty sure they put my mother through all of that. And I'm just glad that my mother realized that her life didn't just include what she wanted anymore, that there was somebody else that she had to think about what they wanted. And I'm so glad that my mother thought that way about me. Otherwise, this video wouldn't exist. I wouldn't exist. If my mother had a thought like a lot of these women who feel like the right to kill a child is their decision, I wouldn't be here. And what's really funny is that they wouldn't be here if their mothers had a thought the same thing. I think that's the part that really blows my mind about all of this abortion talk, is that the very women who feel like they have the right to make that choice don't even realize that the only reason you're able to even say anything about a choice is because your mother made the choice for you to allow you to live. She didn't take your right away. Oh boy, I know I stepped on some toes. I know I hear them crunching, and that's okay because that's what I said. I don't support abortion at all. And like I said, for me, it comes from a very personal space because my mother was presented with that option and she said no. And she was presented with it not once, but twice. Because when she was pregnant with my brother, they did the same thing. And my mother, I love it because she told the doctor who was there for the first go around with me, she asked him, why would you even ask me that? Why would you assume that I would let one child live and kill the other one? She said, why would you even assume I would do anything like that? And the doctor just looked at her. He didn't have an answer for that. His job was just to promote a procedure that he felt in her condition would make her life better. You know, and my brother and I would not be here if my mother was pro-abortion. She would not be here if her mother, a mother who had 12 children, but my grandmother never took away any of their rights. And they was poor as all get out. They didn't have a lot of money. But my grandmother let them live. And because she did, I got to know and love my aunts and my uncles to the days of their passing. I only have one aunt left. But I've gotten to know and love all of them. And I've gotten to see them throughout my childhood. They grew with me and I grew with them. And that never would have happened if my grandmother had only thought of herself. I believe abortion is a very selfish decision. And don't get me wrong, I understand that people say for medical conditions, you know, if it's a threat to the mother's life and all that, but I feel like that still should be a decision that's made by her and the person that she conceived with. Now, if the person that she conceived with ain't there, yes, she should discuss it with the doctor. That's not a decision that you should make by yourself when it comes to, something medical, because the doctor can let exactly how bad it is and if this is your only option or whatever, but in that sense, I can understand a woman saying, well, I need to make a decision. But to me, you shouldn't be the only one to make that decision. That's just my personal opinion. I know with rape, that's thrown up a lot. That's thrown up a whole lot. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys, but I can't roll with that either, because there are so many people that are alive today that were a product of rape. And don't misunderstand, I wouldn't wish a rape on anybody. Someone taking your ability to say no away from you is a horrible thing. But the child didn't have anything to do with that. And why should a child die because of the way it was conceived? If you don't want to deal with the child, you can give the child away. Now, some women say, well, why should I have to go through all of that? Well, because it's not about you at that point. It ain't about what you want. It isn't. I know that's hard. I get it. Look, I'm a woman. I get it. I understand that we all have an Eve in us. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about Eve, Adam's woman, the first woman that God created. We all got that attitude of, don't nobody tell me what to do. I'm able to make up my own mind. Where do we think that came from? Eve was the first one to trot that out. So I get it. Trust me, I still struggle with it. Okay. I find myself, going to my inner Eve, and I have to usually ask God, okay, God, you're going to have to help me because Eve is trying to come up out of here. We all have that ability. But when there's a child involved, okay, that's another life. Now, y'all, some people believe it's just cells. Some people believe it's just a glob of tissue. The point is, that's what we all were in the beginning. That didn't change what we were. They didn't change who we were. We grew into who we are. We were human in the process of being born into the world. When your mom is carrying you, that's what that is. It's the process. I'll make a simple story about this. Very simple, just a comparison. When you put the ingredients together in a mixing bowl to make a cake, that's cake you're making. That's not pizza. That's not hamburgers. That's not French fries. That's cake. But it takes different ingredients being mixed together for a certain length of time. And then it has to be put in a certain type of oven and put in the oven. And it has to be in that oven for a certain amount of time with a certain amount of heat for it to come out looking like a cake. Just because it doesn't look like the way it's going to look when it comes through the process doesn't change what it was made to be. Doesn't change what those ingredients were put together to create. You feel me? When a man and a woman copulate, it is to create life. Look, that is the only purpose of the sexual act. I know I'm diving into some territory, so if you got someone younger, I'm not going to go to the deep end of the ocean, but I'm trying to prove a point. So if you don't want your kids to hear this, you might want to send them out the room, send them out to play, do what you got to do. But I'm just saying, the act of sex, its only purpose is to create life. And so I never, ever, ever understood women's attitude, and men who don't want to be fathers and keep running away from the responsibility, and women who don't want to be mothers and they kill the baby because they don't want to have a child, but yet you engage in the very thing that's made for that purpose. And you shocked that something comes from that. I mean, what kind of sense is that? If I get in a car and the car's purpose is to drive, that's the only reason it was made. It wasn't made to swim. It wasn't made to dance. It wasn't made to sing. A car's sole purpose when you get behind the wheel is to put it in gear and drive. So somebody, in my opinion, who wants an abortion after they've went out and had sex with somebody, and I ain't talking about a rape victim, I ain't talking about nothing, I'm talking about, y'all know, more than anything, women who get abortions are not women who've been raped. There's a small percentage, and there's not a lot of women who have too many bad medical issues that call for that. Let's be real. Most of the women who are doing it are women that just, I'm not ready for a child right now. But yet, you engaged in it. So my thing is, a woman saying that she don't want to have a baby, but yet she's doing the very thing that it takes to make one, and then being shocked and upset that she has one, is like a person who knows what the car is made for, gets behind the wheel of the car, drives it, and gets shocked that it's moving. Gets shocked that she gets in a car accident. How can you be shocked when you get in a car accident, when you get in the car, and that's what happens when you get in a car and you don't drive the car properly and you make the wrong decision? You get in a car accident. And even if somebody else comes along and does something and runs into your lane, it wouldn't have happened if you didn't get in the car. And you knew you can't get mad at the car because that was the car's purpose. You see where I'm going? It's like, I never understood that. How you going to get shocked about something that when you engaged in it, you knew that's what it was for? See, we as humans will take something that God gives us and use it for our own reasons. We use sex for sexual pleasure. Just what we can get out of it. Not what it's for. We don't want the what it's for until we want it. But when we want what it gives us in the process, then we go, oh, okay. It feels good. So I'm going to go on and do this. But you forgot one thing. The thing that you find pleasurable, first of all, wasn't meant for you if you weren't married. Now, I know a lot of folk out here toes crunching again, but I mean, that's truth. It wasn't meant for people who weren't married. And you want to know why? I really believe that God knew. Look, he made us. So he knew how we thought. He watched Adam and Eve screw everything up. So he knows how we think. Okay? He knew. If I make it just that they can follow the pleasure and not follow the plan, they're not going to want to do the work of raising the child. They'll just want the pleasure. So what I'm going to do is make this just for people who decide to do the plan. When they decide to do the plan, they can enjoy the pleasure in doing the plan. That's what married people, when they come together and say, hey, I love you, you love me, let's do this. That means let's do this life together. And what comes from it, we take it. We run with it because we're doing it together. If you haven't made that commitment with another person, and you just want the process, but you don't want the plan, well, you get what you get. Is Roe v. Wade going to be overturned? I don't know. I do know this, though. Threatening the justices of the peace, I think, is wrong. Now, you may not like the fact that they are making a decision that you feel is wrong, but where do you think you have the right to go up to somebody's house? I mean, how are you any different than thugs who go to people's neighborhoods and steal their cars and stuff like that? You're stealing these people's sense of security by coming to their home, threatening them just because they're making a decision that you don't like. Get used to it. You were told when you were a little kid, you're always going to have somebody make a decision that you don't like. You're always going to have somebody that does something you don't agree with. Look, I don't agree with abortion, but you don't see me out in front of abortion clinics. Now, I know that there are some people that have done that, but not every person who is against abortion goes out and threatens other people. I don't threaten other people. You want to know why? Because at the end of the day, you got to stand before God, whether you believe it or not. That's a whole nother video on whether you believe in God or not. We're not touching the atheist topic right now. I'm just saying, we all have our day to stand before God and answer for the choices and decisions that we made. So I'm not going to debate and argue with people about something that they're going to already have to answer to God for. I'm not about to do that. I'm not. Some people are different. Some people will go toe to toe with you, on a decision that you make. I ain't doing that. Because I'm like this. I'm just going to say what God tells me to say, and you either take it and run with it, or you take it and drop it. Because in the end, you the one got to live with your decision. I don't. I live with my decisions. You live with yours. And we used to live in a country that was okay with that kind of thinking. Now, all of a sudden, my choice ain't enough. Now you got to try to change mine. If it don't line up with what you want, then you're trying to shut me up and don't want me to say nothing. Well, what is that? I mean, are we people or robots? Where we're programmed to say, so I ain't nobody's robot. I'm a human being. There's a brain in here given to me by God. I don't always do what God tells me to do, and I got to answer for that. But if I can accept that, what's wrong with everybody else? How come everybody else can't accept the fact that they ain't doing everything that God wants them to do, and that they are going to have to answer to that? If I can admit that about myself, what's wrong with y'all? You feel me? All right, y'all. I'm going to leap off of that because that topic is very touchy, but that's what I said. I don't support abortion. I think the people, threatening the justices, threatening anybody that don't believe how they believe is totally wrong. And that's not what this country is supposed to stand for. This country has a lot of issues, but one of the things that I know for a fact is that we are a free nation. That's why so many other countries long to come here. That's why you got so many people at the borders about to break their necks trying to get in here, because they see something we have that their country don't have. And y'all sitting up here taking advantage of all of the freedoms that we have, and then you sitting back complaining about it, and you got folk that don't have a fifth of what you got, and they breaking their neck trying to come in here and just try to get a little bit of it. I'm almost at the point now, and I mean, I'm getting so frustrated with people who live in this country, take advantage of every freedom that we have, but then they want to sit around and complain about this country, saying that it's a racist place and it's this and it's that. I'm like, well, you know what? Hey, you know what? Why don't you give up your slot and let the immigrant come in and take your spot? Because I'm pretty sure they'll appreciate more of what this country is about than you do. Because what they've had to leave and what they've had to endure to come over here, you don't have a clue. The very ones that's sitting up there complaining is riding in luxury vehicles, wearing designer clothes. I done seen the nails, the hair, the lashes, all of that. You just rocking all of these looks, living in these nice little apartments and condos and houses. But yet America's racist. They don't give us a fair chance. Really? And what year tennis shoes are you wearing? What designer stuff are you wearing? How many times are you going to the salon getting your nails done and all of that? But you got people living in another country that ain't had a bath in probably 4 or 5 days because they've been walking to get to the border so they can try to come in. Because if they don't, they're going to be murdered in the country that they're at. America ain't perfect, but it's a free nation where you're free to live as you want to live. You're free to do what you want to do. You're free to go after whatever dreams you have at night. When you lay your head down and you go to sleep, the thing that you've always wanted to do, you live in a country that won't stop you from doing it. Whereas if you lived in some countries, all you could do is dream about it. If you tried to even take the first step to attempt to make that happen, you could be dead. These are things that I feel like we as Americans take for granted. And then we see people at the border and we're trying to beat them down. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, we have immigration laws and all of that. I get it. But I understand why those people want to come here. If I saw a country that had everything that I wanted and everything that I needed, and I'm stuck in an impoverished state that I can't get out of without being killed first. And if I knew the only thing that stood between me and that was a line, don't think for 1 second I wouldn't try to come in. Don't think for 1 second that I wouldn't at least try once. Because just like your dream may be to be a doctor or a lawyer or to own a house one day, to buy your dream car, to have the child that you couldn't have, to an immigrant, it may be America itself, where I can go to sleep and drug cartel is not at my door, where I can go to sleep and not worry about drug cartel taking my children. We got to think about stuff like that, y'all. I mean, that's how I feel about the immigration thing. You know, I don't think cramming them all in here at one time is a bright thing because our own country, you know, we barely got enough for us. But I do believe in working some type of way to get them in and get them set up so that they can start living their dream. But I do get upset when I hear American people complaining when y'all have been so blessed. Y'all don't realize how God has had his hand of protection on America for so long. But God getting tired of y'all complaining when he sees other people who are willing to take the blessings that God has given them. If you don't want it, I mean, by all means, hey, y'all can pack your bags and roll on out. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to stay here. I mean, what is the point of staying in a country that you ain't happy in? If you ain't happy in America, well, hey, there's buses and boats and planes rolling out of here all the time. And I'm pretty sure America will say, hey, if you're not happy, you know, there's the door. I know that doesn't sound nice, but I mean, that's what I said. Okay. That's just how I feel. Because I feel like, and I think me being a Black woman, I think I'm more sensitive about that type of thinking. I'm more sensitive about it. You want to know why? Because if anybody should appreciate the ability to stay here more than any other race of people, should be Black people. Because all of us came over here, you know, our people, our ancestors came over here and it wasn't their choice. They were snatched and brought over here. So that alone, look, somebody had to die. Someone had to lose their life, get whipped, get lynched, for you to be able to be called an American citizen. This country could have said, we can't send you back, but we ain't gonna never call you an American. They could have did that. And what could we have done to stop it as a people? There's nothing we could have done. We would have been sitting there looking like Rudy Poops because there's nothing we had no power. We were a people stripped of our power. Okay, so if they had said that and be like, well, it's too many of y'all, we can't send you back. See, this is why we should be able to understand the immigrants' point of view on this. Because America could have said that. America could have said, well, we don't have the power to send all y'all back. It's too many of y'all. But we will never recognize you as American. We will never give you the benefits of an American. You own your own. We're not giving you anything. We ain't going to let you do anything. And we'll just probably just sit back and watch y'all die off. They could have done that. And as a people, we didn't own anything. We didn't have anything. So what would we have done? But even in that, God saw fit to say, I'm going to give them the same opportunity as everybody else up in here. So when you've had the opportunity, and you can say that you haven't, but you have. You've been able to go and get an education when there was a time you weren't allowed to do that. Now you can go to any college you want to. There's ways to pay for college now. Now you can pretty much live wherever you want to when there was a time when you could not live where you wanted to. I mean, come on, y'all. Let's kick the ballistics. Our people have been through a lot, but so have other races. Every racial ethnic group has their story of struggle and redemption. That's what makes this country great. Forget what Donald Trump said. I know y'all, the MAGA. I ain't talking about MAGA. I'm talking about this is what makes our country great, is that all of these different races that live in this country, we all have our story of struggle and redemption. There's not a race in this country that can't tell you something that's going to bring a tear to your eye, that's going to have you see things from their point of view. Every race. The point is, we're all supposed to appreciate each other's struggle and just live our lives. Whatever happened to that? Now it's like, I don't want to hear your side of the story. You don't want to hear mine. Shut up, be quiet, just do what I say. And if you don't want to do what I say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you got all these people bickering and fighting. It's ridiculous. And the whole amazing part about all of what I just said is that you live in a country where you're free to do that. Because I guarantee you, if you lived where Vladimir Putin was, do you think he would care anything about abortion right about now? The fact that you're able to get out in the street and even say anything about abortion, the fact that you're even able to get on TV and say anything about anything that you don't like, LGBTQ and all the stuff, the fact that you're able to even say anything about it is a freedom that if you live somewhere else, if you was in Putin land, you wouldn't be able to say nothing at all. You'd have to shut up and swallow it. Because if he wanted you to not have an abortion, you wouldn't have one. If he didn't want you to let immigrants in, there'd be no immigrants in there. If he didn't want you to do nothing that he didn't want you to do, it wouldn't happen. Try going to China with that kind of thinking. Y'all out there in the middle of the street going to people's houses and stuff. Do you really think Xi Jinping is going to have people coming in front of his house talking about what they don't stand for? Somebody done told you wrong if you think that's true. Honey, they'd have them people on you so fast and throw you under their jail. And see, their jail system ain't like America. Y'all talking, see, even in our jail system, we have rights. You ain't got none over there. You under a communist regime. They choose when you get up out of there. They ain't looking at no law book. They look at you and decide exactly how long you're going to be in there and whether you think it's fair or not. What can you do? You stuck. Because those are the leaders and they have the say. See, y'all better recognize the freedoms that we have in this country. You better not take it for granted. Because at any time, your rebellion amongst each other, your fighting and bickering, something can slither in and then put the clamps on our freedom. We better recognize it because it can happen. I've always said it. A nation divided can easily be conquered because if you're looking at each other and you're not looking at who's sneaking in, who's looking to mess you up because you're too busy fighting, that's a perfect time for the killer to come in. When he's got you distracted and you fighting, it's easy for him to come in and do what he do. So we better recognize our freedom is our strength. And that's something that God gave us. I believe every country had the potential to be a free country. I don't think God intended for anyone to rule over another person. We're the ones that decided we want to try to control other people. God didn't tell us to do that. You know what God said? Love me, and I love you. I take care of you, and you free. You'll have everything you need. But no, we decided we don't want that. I want to do it. And God said, but I made the earth. I made everything that you got. And the only way you're going to know how to work it is if I tell you. But if you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. I can't stop you, but that means you open the door for whatever comes. You know, because Satan going to look at whatever. Satan going to look for the door opening. Anybody that can convince half of heaven to go to hell with him, that ain't no joke. And you notice God didn't even fool with Satan. Look, God is so powerful that he could have took Satan's decision and said, well, no, you're going to serve me and you shut up. But God said, I gave everything I made freedom of choice, everything. Because when God wants worship, he wants it because you want to do it, not because he's making you do it. Why do you think y'all are able to do all this screaming and hollering about rights and all this stuff and God don't ever jump in and just knock everybody out and just say, I'm starting from scratch? Why do you think he do that? Because he said, I gave them that freedom. And I knew what that meant. That not everybody's going to believe in me. Not everybody's going to follow me. Not everyone's going to love me. God knew that. He knew it because he watched his very own creation, Lucifer, do it first. And what I love about God is he was like, well, I can't change your decision, but you ain't going to be up in my house. Anybody that feels like you can go with you where you going. And that's why Satan got kicked out. So, I mean, come on, y'all. Like I said, I say it. You can take it and run with it, or you can take it and drop it. I'm not going to debate it with you. I said it. That's just it. We all got to stand before God. So you're going to have your moment. And any issue you got with God, you can take it up with him then. That's all I'm going to say on that. Gas prices. Ooh, now, y'all, I'm going to have to come back and do another one on that. I got to come back and do another one on that, y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and end this now. I've hit a few topics: immigration, abortion, and the rights of free speech, and how people just want to control what people say and stuff. This stuff has got to stop. I want us to get back to be the country that we were, but I don't know if that's ever going to be, because now we have people that are thirsty for power, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. And if that means cutting off your ability to say how you feel and what you think, then that's what they're going to do. And I just don't. I think the America that we all grew up with and know and love, I think that America is fading. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how bad it's going to be before it gets better. But I do think it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. Um, I say to all the Christians out there to continue to pray, but not those teeny tiny prayers. We gotta go hard in our prayer room. We gotta go hard because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. We gotta realize who's behind all of this. We can't get blinded by the women who are shouting for the rights. We can't be blinded by the people who are saying you're xenophobic, you're against the LGBTQ, you're against the trans, you're against this. Yeah, who's doing the button pushing and the puppet pulling behind that? We got to look beyond, look for the strings. I've told everybody this. There's a saying that I've always said: find a wizard. Always find the wizard in everything you do. Look for the wizard. Always ask God to show you what's behind that. I've always used this example. One of the best movies that I grew up seeing when I was a little kid, believe it or not, was The Wizard of Oz. I saw it when I was a kid. And of course, it had been out way before I was born. But when I seen it as a kid, that was my first time seeing it. And what I remember the most was how Dorothy was the smart girl. The Tin Man was the one who had no brain. No, the Tin Man was the one that had no heart. The Scarecrow had no brain. And the Lion had no courage. So here you had all three of these, and then Dorothy didn't appreciate what she had at home. Sound a little familiar? A lot of Americans right about now. Just kind of had to throw that out. But anyway, here you had 4 humans, or shall I say 4 upright walking images that were more superior than the dog, who all had issues. And when they came to the Wizard of Oz, they were all distracted by the wizardry that was before them. They was believing everything that the wizard was saying and doing, shaking in their boots. That scene when they're standing in front of that curtain. The one who was considered the dummy, the animal, the less than human, the little insignificant pet, was the one who exposed the truth. He looked at the wizardry, saw what was being said, and said, nah, there's more to this. I can't just go by what I'm seeing. Let me go and pull the curtain back. I'm telling you, don't get distracted by the people and what they're saying. Find the wizard. Find the puppeteer. Find the button pusher behind those people. Satan is motivating people to do the things that they're doing. And if he can keep you focused on what's in front, you'll never see him. And if you never see him, then you'll never know how to deal with it. You'll never know how to fight it. The only way you're going to fight a satanic attack is on your knees. There's no other way to fight that. Legislation and laws, they don't faze him, because he's got the hearts of people who invent them and who change them. So he ain't worried about you wanting laws changed and this needs to revert back and this needs, because he got folk in there that'll do his bidding. On our knees is how this battle has to be won. That's how it has to be, y'all. That's just how it is. Native Girl said it. That's how it is. All right, y'all. I am going to do another video later today, and I believe it'll be the Mother's Day video that I had planned to do with my mother. Now, if this video is lagging, I will throw this out. If this video is lagging as you're watching it, if it has moments where the screen may freeze and stuff, I apologize for that. It is no fault of mine. I honestly don't know what the problem is. I've had a couple of videos that have done that. I do apologize. Just kind of roll with it. I'm not, I'm good with computers. I'm a techie person, but at the same time, I'm not a software developer. And as far as how to get Wi-Fi stronger and all that, I don't know nothing about that type of stuff. I just know how to try to work as much on my computer to my taste. But as far as what it's need for YouTube to work properly, I don't know. So I do apologize if it's getting on your nerves. I do, at the end of each video, I do two things. Number one is I make a suggestion of a subscription channel that I watch, that I subscribe to try to bring more people to that audience. Now, as many of y'all know, I transport kids. I work in the field of foster care, and so I transport kids all the time. And so one of the things I'm real sensitive about is how people drive. And I think I've seen more idiotic, stupid stuff by people behind the wheel when I'm transporting life's most precious cargo, and that is our kids. And I've seen people do stuff when the kids are in the car with me. They cutting me off and doing things that could cause an accident, and they've seen children riding in the car seats of my car, and they still do it. Blazing past my car doing 90 miles an hour. And I'm going, there's children in here. There's other cars on this highway that got kids. What is your problem? But some people just, they don't care. So one of the sites that I actually get a kick out of looking at it, and it's basically just to see how far the idiocy can go with some drivers, is this channel called Fun Stop. They have these clips called Idiots in Cars. And I mean, they get clips from people all over the country, sometimes even in other countries. I've seen a couple of Ukrainian cars. I've seen a couple of Canadian vehicles as well. So it's like they go into other countries too. And you can see how it doesn't matter what country they're in, don't matter where they're at, you see the same stupid disregard for other people on the road. It is insane. So if you ever want to just look at some stupid things that people do that'll kind of make you appreciate your driving skills, I suggest Fun Stop. Check it out. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Please do look out for my other video, my tribute to my mom and to a lot of mothers. Like I said, Mother's Day was a little tough, but I'm trying to get that video done later today. I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please check out my other videos. I've done one about Easter and a couple of other videos. I'm not going to promise to do one every day, but I will try to do them as I have time that allows me to do it. Thank you again for checking out my channel. Please do come back, like, and subscribe. I love you guys. All right.